There's something undeniably magnetic about the mysteries of the past, those lingering questions that refuse to be answered, no matter how much we dig, research, or speculate. Picture standing in the shadow of a towering ancient structure, its stones weathered by centuries, and realizing we still have no idea why it was built. Who walked these halls? What rituals unfolded here? What secrets are hidden in its very design? History is full of these enigmas, and nowhere are they more tantalizing than in the world of architecture. Across continents and civilizations, builders left behind monuments that defy explanation, structures so grand, so precise, or so bizarre that their true purposes remain lost to time. Today, we're stepping into the unknown, unraveling the stories behind 25 of history's most mysterious buildings. From hidden chambers beneath European castles to sprawling complexes buried in deserts, these aren't just ruins, they're puzzles waiting to be solved. Some were dismissed as mere tombs or temples until archaeologists uncovered impossible alignments with the stars or strange artifacts that didn't fit any known tradition. Others seemed to serve no practical purpose at all, leaving experts to wonder, were they symbols of power, portals to the divine, or something even stranger? What's fascinating is how these mysteries connect us across time. When you stand before a building like the Great Zimbabwe Ruins or the Yonaguni Monument, you're not just looking at stones, you're staring into the ambitions, fears, and imaginations of people who lived centuries ago. This journey isn't just about uncovering facts, it's about embracing the thrill of the unanswered. Maybe you've felt it too, that itch of curiosity when you hear about a place like Derinkuyu, an entire underground city, or the Karnak stones, thousands of megaliths arranged in patterns no one can decipher. These aren't just historical footnotes, they're invitations to wonder. So let's wander through these architectural riddles together, from the fog-shrouded peaks of South America to the sun-baked plains of the Middle East. By the end, you might not have all the answers, but you'll see these ancient wonders in a whole new light. Ready to explore? Let's begin. The Great Pyramid of Giza stands as one of humanity's most enduring mysteries, a monument so precise, so colossal, that even after thousands of years we're still unraveling its secrets. On the surface, it's labeled as the tomb of Pharaoh Khufu, but the deeper you dig, the more that explanation feels incomplete. Take its alignment. The pyramid's sides are oriented almost perfectly to the cardinal directions, with a margin of error so slight it rivals modern engineering. How did ancient builders achieve such accuracy without compasses or satellites? Some researchers point to its astronomical connections, like the way the descending passages align with specific stars, suggesting the pyramid might have been a celestial observatory or even a gateway to the afterlife. Then there's the math. The ratio of the pyramid's height to its perimeter mirrors the relationship between Earth's radius and circumference, a coincidence that's hard to dismiss. Could this be intentional, a way to encode sacred knowledge of the planet itself? And what about the so-called energy theories? Visitors often report strange sensations inside the chambers, leading some to speculate about hidden vibrational properties or even ancient technology lost to time. Mainstream archaeology chalks these mysteries up to the ingenuity of the Old Kingdom's architects, but that doesn't explain why no other pyramid matches its precision or scale. Perhaps the most tantalizing question isn't just how it was built, but why. If it was solely a tomb, why the obsessive attention to celestial and mathematical details? Why the airtight chambers devoid of traditional burial artifacts? The Great Pyramid refuses to fit neatly into any single category, leaving us to wonder if it served a purpose far grander than we've yet imagined. Every stone seems to whisper a riddle, daring us to look beyond the textbooks and reconsider what we think we know. Shifting our gaze from the scorching sands of Egypt to the misty plains of England, we encounter Stonehenge, a ring of towering stones that has puzzled scholars for centuries. At first glance, its purpose seems straightforward, a prehistoric calendar marking the solstices with uncanny accuracy. But like the Great Pyramid, the deeper you look, the more layers of mystery unfold. The massive sarsen stones, some weighing over 25 tons, were dragged from quarries nearly 20 miles away, while the smaller blue stones originated in Wales over 150 miles distant. How did Neolithic people without wheels or draft animals transport these monoliths across rivers and hills? Theories about Stonehenge's function are just as varied. While its alignment with the summer and winter solstices suggests an astronomical purpose, excavations have revealed something far darker: cremated human remains dating back nearly 5,000 years. Was it a burial ground for elite members of society, or a site of ancient pilgrimage where the living communed with the dead? Recent discoveries add even more intrigue. Underground surveys uncovered a vast network of hidden pits and shafts, some arranged in celestial patterns, hinting at rituals we can barely comprehend. One prevailing theory suggests Stonehenge was part of a larger ceremonial landscape, connected to nearby sites like Durrington Walls by processional avenues. Perhaps most fascinating is the enduring human connection to this place. Even today, thousands gather to witness the sunrise on the summer solstice, as if pulled by some primal memory. The stones seem to hum with unanswered questions. Were they meant to heal the sick, as the blue stones' alleged mystical properties suggest? Did they serve as a Neolithic computer predicting eclipses and celestial events? Or were they simply a monument to unity, a collaborative feat meant to bind scattered communities? Unlike the Great Pyramid, Stonehenge offers no inscriptions or artifacts to decode, just silent, weathered sentinels guarding secrets we may never fully unravel. Beneath the sun-baked plains of Cappadocia in Turkey lies a labyrinth so vast, so meticulously engineered, it makes modern bunkers look like child's play. Derinkuyu isn't just a cave, it's an entire underground city descending 18 levels into the earth with space for an estimated 20,000 people. The scale alone is staggering: kitchens, stables, wine presses, even chapels carved into the volcanic rock. But what truly baffles archaeologists are the details. The ventilation shafts, some stretching nearly 200 feet to the surface, provided fresh air to every level. Massive rolling stone doors could seal off entire sections in an instant. Who built this, and why did they need such an impenetrable refuge? Mainstream scholars point to the early Christians or Byzantines, suggesting Derinkuyu was a hideout during raids or religious persecutions. The chapels and crosses etched into the walls support this theory, yet there are anomalies. Some passages are too narrow for adults, leading to speculation about child labor or even smaller, unknown inhabitants. The city's water wells connect to an underground river, but how did they prevent contamination from the surface? Even more puzzling, why construct such an elaborate sanctuary when simpler hideouts would suffice? Fringe theories fill the gaps with wilder possibilities. Ancient astronaut enthusiasts argue the city's precision ventilation resembles modern tech, hinting at lost advanced knowledge. Others whisper of connections to mythical underground realms like Agartha, or a pre-flood civilization bracing for catastrophe. The truth might lie somewhere in between. Local folklore speaks of the Hittites, a Bronze Age civilization, possibly expanding the city over centuries. Could Derinkuyu have been a living archive, safeguarding not just people but knowledge during turbulent times? Without written records, we're left with engineering marvels that refuse to confess their secrets. Walking its dimly lit tunnels today, you can't shake the eerie sense that this wasn't just a temporary shelter. It was a deliberate, permanent underworld, a mirror to the surface with intentions we've yet to decipher. Whether refuge, sacred space, or something far stranger, Derinkuyu challenges our assumptions about how deeply humanity's survival instincts run. High in the Andes, overlooking the modern city of Cusco, stands Sacsayhuamon, a fortress-like complex whose walls defy logic. The stones here aren't just stacked, they're interlocked with such precision that not even a sheet of paper can slide between them. Each massive block, some weighing over 100 tons, is carved with intricate angles, fitting together like a three-dimensional jigsaw puzzle. How did the Inca, without iron tools or mortar, achieve this level of craftsmanship? Even more baffling is how these walls have withstood centuries of earthquakes that leveled later Spanish constructions. Modern engineers marvel at their design. The zigzagging patterns and inward-leaning walls act as natural shock absorbers, dispersing seismic energy like a coiled spring. But Sacsayhuaman's mysteries don't end with its engineering. The site's purpose is hotly debated. Spanish chroniclers called it a fortress, pointing to its strategic hilltop location and towering ramparts. Yet the absence of weapon caches or barracks raises doubts. Alternative theories suggest it was a ceremonial temple. Its name translates to satisfied falcon, possibly linked to Inca sun worship. The trapezoidal niches and subterranean chambers align with solstices, hinting at astronomical significance. Then there's the fringe narrative, the so-called alien hypothesis. Some point to the stone's laser-like cuts and the near-impossible task of transporting them from quarries miles away, arguing that such precision surpasses Inca technology. Transport is another enigma. The nearest quarry lies over 20 miles distant across rugged terrain. How were these megaliths moved without wheels or draft animals? Incan legends speak of stones softened by a mystical plant or acoustic levitation, while skeptics propose log rollers and manpower. Yet neither theory fully explains how workers hoisted blocks atop one another with such flawless alignment. The deeper you explore Sacsayhuaman, the clearer it becomes. This wasn't just a building project. It was a statement, a fusion of art, science, and spirituality that challenges our understanding of the past. Whether fortress, temple, or something beyond our grasp, its silent stones guard answers we're still straining to hear. Buried beneath the dusty hills of southeastern Turkey, Göbekli Tepe shatters everything we thought we knew about early human civilization. Dating back an astonishing 12,000 years, 7 millennia before the Great Pyramid, this sprawling complex of massive limestone pillars carved with intricate animals and symbols predates settled farming communities. That's right, hunter-gatherers, people we've long assumed were nomadic and simple, built this monumental site before the invention of the plow or permanent villages. The implications are staggering. Who organized the labor to quarry and transport these 20-ton stones? What compelled them to create such elaborate artistry without the promise of harvests to sustain them? The pillars themselves are a gallery of mysteries. Serpents, foxes, and vultures coil and prowl across their surfaces, some arranged in circular enclosures that may have served as ritual spaces. The craftsmanship is so refined that it clashes with the timeline of human development. Conventional archaeology insists complex societies emerged only after agriculture provided stable food supplies, yet here's Göbekli Tepe flipping the script. Some researchers, like Klaus Schmidt, who first excavated the site, argue it was a ceremonial hub, a sacred ground where scattered bands gathered for spiritual purposes. The absence of domestic debris supports this. No evidence of cooking fires or housing suggests people came, worshipped, and left, but other theories push the boundaries further. The carvings of predatory birds and headless humans hint at death rites, possibly even sky burials where bodies were left to be cleansed by scavengers. The layout's alignment with celestial events like the summer solstice fuels speculation about an early astronomical observatory. More controversial ideas propose Göbekli Tepe was a response to a cataclysm, a communal project to appease gods during the Younger Dryas period, a time of abrupt climate change. Then there's the mind-bending possibility that the site wasn't just spiritual but educational, a prehistoric university where knowledge of animal behavior and survival was passed down through symbols. What's undeniable is how Göbekli Tepe forces us to reconsider human ingenuity. Without metal tools or beasts of burden, these ancient people engineered a site so enduring that its T-shaped pillars still stand sentinel today. Was it a temple, a social experiment, or a warning carved in stone? As excavations continue, one truth emerges: the dawn of civilization might be far older and far more sophisticated than we ever imagined. On the emerald hills of Ireland's Boyne Valley, Newgrange rises like a silent sentinel from the past, a massive circular mound older than Stonehenge and the Great Pyramid. At first glance, it appears to be a simple passage tomb, a resting place for the ancient dead. But step inside, and you'll witness a phenomenon so precise it feels like magic. Every year, at dawn on the winter solstice, a narrow beam of sunlight pierces through a perfectly aligned roof box, creeping down the 60-foot passage to illuminate the inner chamber for exactly 17 minutes. This isn't random. The builders engineered this alignment 5,000 years ago with a sophistication that rivals modern astronomy. The question isn't just how they achieved this feat, it's why. The tomb's interior is sparse, with few human remains found relative to its size, leading some to argue it was never primarily about burial. The solstice alignment suggests something grander, a connection to the cycles of life and death, a celestial clock marking the rebirth of the sun. The intricate spiral carvings covering the stones add another layer. Some researchers interpret them as maps of the cosmos or symbols of eternal cycles, hinting at a spiritual purpose beyond mere interment. Then there's the scale. Newgrange's construction would have required thousands of workers hauling 200,000 tons of stone and earth, all without metal tools or written language. What compelled Neolithic people to dedicate such labor to a structure that, for most of the year, sits in darkness? Local folklore speaks of the Tuatha De Danann, mythical gods who built Newgrange as a gateway to the otherworld. Could this explain the solstice light, a literal doorway for spirits or deities? Mainstream archaeology leans toward ritual significance, a place where the living communed with ancestors under the returning sun. But the lack of everyday artifacts, no tools, no hearth, suggests it wasn't a settlement. Instead, the focus was singular: light, precision, and renewal. The passage itself, narrow and claustrophobic, forces visitors to crawl toward the chamber, a physical journey mirroring the symbolic return from darkness. Controversial theories push further. Some propose Newgrange was an ancient observatory, its builders tracking not just solstices but lunar cycles or even eclipses. Others see the alignment as proof of lost knowledge, perhaps shared by the same culture that inspired Stonehenge. The truth may lie in between, a fusion of astronomy, ancestor worship, and communal identity. Standing in that chamber at solstice dawn, you don't just see a tomb, you feel intention, a message carved in stone and light, waiting 5 millennia to be understood. Newgrange doesn't just bury the dead, it bridges worlds, leaving us to wonder how much we've forgotten about the sky and the souls who once read it like a storybook. Stretching across the arid plains of southern Peru, the Nazca Lines etch a sprawling, cryptic canvas into the desert floor, a gallery of geometric spirals, trapezoids, and towering animal figures so vast they can only be fully appreciated from the sky. Created between 500 BCE and 500 CE by the ancient Nazca culture, these glyphs range from simple lines to elaborate depictions of hummingbirds, spiders, and monkeys, some stretching over 1,200 feet long. The sheer scale is mind-bending. How did a people without flight conceive of designs meant to be seen from above? And more importantly, why? One prevailing theory suggests ritual significance. Archaeologists like Maria Reich, who devoted her life to studying the lines, proposed they were sacred pathways for ceremonial processions, walking routes to honor deities linked to water and fertility. The desert's dry climate preserves the lines, but water, or the lack of it, dominates their symbolism. Many glyphs align with underground aquifers, hinting at a practical purpose. a massive, spiritualized map guiding the Nazca to life, giving sources in a parched landscape. The hummingbird, a pollinator, and the spider, a symbol of rain in Andean myth, further tie the designs to pleas for abundance. Then there's the extraterrestrial angle. The line's precision and aerial visibility fueled mid-20th century speculation about ancient runways for alien visitors. While mainstream science dismisses this, the mystery lingers in pop culture, a testament to how these shapes defy easy explanation. The truth may lie in the Nazca's sophisticated understanding of their environment. Recent studies reveal that the line's placement corresponds with seismic faults, suggesting they could mark water channels, a vital resource in one of Earth's driest regions. Preservation adds another layer of intrigue. The Nazca removed the dark, iron-rich topsoil to expose lighter sediment beneath, creating contrast. But it's the desert's windless, rainless microclimate that's kept the lines intact for millennia. Even so, modern threats, foot traffic, mining, and climate shifts endanger them, making their survival a race against time. Were the lines a prayer, a tool, or a message to the cosmos? Their silence is part of their power. Unlike stone monuments, they offer no carvings or artifacts, just intention etched into the earth, waiting for the sky to read them. Standing amid these shapes, you're left with a humbling thought. Perhaps the Nazca never meant for us to solve their puzzle. Perhaps the mystery itself was the point. Off the coast of Japan's westernmost island, Yonaguni, lies a structure so perplexing it blurs the line between nature and human artistry. The Yonaguni Monument, submerged under 60 feet of crystal-clear water, resembles a massive stepped pyramid with eerily precise terraces, right angles, and what appear to be carved staircases. Discovered in 1986 by a diver searching for hammerhead sharks, this underwater enigma has ignited a decades-long debate. Is it a natural geological formation, or the remnants of a lost civilization swallowed by the sea? Geologists point to the region's unique sandstone, which fractures along clean plains due to tectonic activity, creating surfaces that mimic human craftsmanship. They argue that the monument's steps are simply the result of underwater erosion, a series of natural shelves formed by currents and seismic shifts over millennia. But archaeologists counter with striking anomalies. The structure's symmetrical terraces and sharp 90-degree angles seem too deliberate to dismiss. Photographs reveal what look like circular depressions, possibly post holes for wooden pillars, and even a massive stone slab resembling a carved face, though erosion makes confirmation difficult. Then there's the cultural context. Local legends speak of Mu, a mythical Pacific civilization said to have sunk beneath the waves, much like Atlantis. Proponents of the lost city theory highlight the monument's alignment with other underwater ruins nearby, such as the Stone Road off Okinawa, suggesting a network of submerged structures. Could these be the drowned outskirts of an ancient kingdom? Mainstream scholars remain skeptical, noting the absence of pottery, tools, or other human artifacts. Yet the monument's location near a strait with strong currents raises another possibility. Any artifacts may have been swept away long ago. The most tantalizing clue lies in the monument's design. If human-made, it would date back at least 10,000 years, aligning with the end of the last ice age when sea levels were dramatically lower. This timing coincides with global flood myths, hinting at a shared memory of catastrophic rising waters. Whether natural or artificial, the Yonaguni Monument forces us to confront a haunting question. How much of humanity's past is hidden beneath the waves, waiting to rewrite history? Diving here feels like stepping into a debate between earth and hand, a place where geology and mythology collide, leaving us to wonder if the truth is stranger than either. Deep in the Zhejiang province of China, hidden beneath unassuming hills, lie the Longyu Caves, an underground network so vast and meticulously crafted that it defies logic. Discovered in 1992 by a curious villager draining a local pond, These hand-carved caverns stretch across 30,000 square meters, their walls adorned with uniform chisel marks that reveal an almost obsessive attention to detail. What stuns researchers isn't just the scale, but the silence surrounding them. No historical records, no oral traditions, not even a single tool left behind to hint at who built them or why. It's as if the caves were carved, used, and then erased from memory. The precision is staggering. Each chamber mirrors the next, with supporting pillars spaced at exact intervals and walls sloping at a consistent 70-degree angle, a feat that would challenge modern engineers with laser-guided tools. Yet geologists confirm these caves were dug over 2,000 years ago, likely during the Western Han Dynasty. How did ancient workers achieve such symmetry without blueprints or lighting? The absence of soot marks rules out torches, leaving experts to speculate about reflective mirrors or some lost illumination technique. Even stranger are the acoustics. Stand in certain chambers and your voice amplifies unnaturally, while other spots swallow sound entirely. Was this intentional? Some theorists propose the caves served as ritual spaces where echoes simulated divine voices or enhanced ceremonial drumming. Then there's the quarry theory. The sheer volume of removed stone, nearly 1 million cubic meters, suggests an industrial-scale operation. But where did all that rock go? No nearby structures or roads show evidence of such material. Alternative ideas range from military bunkers hidden from invaders to clandestine imperial projects abandoned mid-construction. More fringe interpretations weave in mythology, linking the caves to the legendary Xia dynasty or even subterranean refugees from a great flood. Perhaps the most haunting question isn't how or when, but why the secrecy. Most ancient megaprojects, pyramids, temples were proudly recorded. The Longyu caves, by contrast, feel deliberately forgotten. Walking through their echoing halls, you're struck by the weight of intentional silence. Were they a refuge, a factory, a sacred space, or something so unconventional that history chose to bury them twice, first in stone, then in obscurity? Unlike other mysteries, these caves offer no artifacts or inscriptions to decode, just the echoes of questions bouncing off walls that refuse to answer. Isolated in the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean, Easter Island's moai stand as silent witnesses to one of history's most enigmatic civilizations. These towering stone figures, some weighing over 80 tons, were carved from compressed volcanic ash with nothing more than stone tools, yet their creation defies simple explanation. The Rapa Nui people sculpted nearly 900 of these statues between the 13th and 16th centuries, each one a unique representation of deified ancestors. But the real mystery isn't just how they were made, it's how they were moved across miles of rugged terrain to their final platforms along the coast. Theories about their transport have sparked debates for decades. Early explorers assumed the statues were dragged horizontally on log rollers, a method that would have required vast amounts of timber, a resource famously scarce on the deforested island. This led to the popular narrative of ecological collapse, where the Rapa Nui allegedly cut down every last tree to move their moai, dooming their society. But recent experiments suggest a more ingenious method. Researchers successfully walked replica statues upright by rocking them side to side with ropes, mimicking the island's oral traditions of the moai moving themselves. This technique would have conserved timber while aligning with cultural accounts, painting the Rapa Nui not as reckless but as resourceful engineers. Then there's the spiritual dimension. The moai weren't just art, they were conduits of mana or sacred power believed to watch over the living. Their backs faced the ocean, their hollow eyes fixed inland as if guarding the communities they once belonged to. Many were topped with red stone hats called pukao, possibly symbolizing chieftains' hair or spiritual crowns. Yet the most haunting clues lie in the quarries at Rono Roroku, where nearly 400 unfinished moai remain half buried in the slopes. Some are twice the size of those ever erected, as if ambition outpaced practicality. Were these abandoned due to societal turmoil, or were they meant to stay rooted in the earth, eternal sentinels of a sacred site? The island's collapse adds another layer of tragedy. By the time European explorers arrived in the 18th century, many moai had been toppled, possibly during internal conflicts over dwindling resources. But newer evidence complicates this story. Soil analysis reveals the Rapa Nui practiced sophisticated farming techniques, suggesting their society adapted rather than imploded. The real culprit may have been outside contact, enslavement, and disease brought by foreign ships. The moai, then, are more than relics of a lost people. They are a testament to human resilience, a civilization that thrived against isolation and odds, leaving behind giants that dared to stare into eternity. Standing before these weathered faces today, you're not just seeing statues, you're confronting the echoes of a culture that refused to be forgotten, even when the world turned away. Rising above the savannas of southern Africa, the Great Zimbabwe ruins stand as a testament to a civilization whose grandeur was once dismissed by colonial powers who refused to believe Africans could create such marvels. This sprawling complex of stone towers, conical structures, and labyrinthine walls built entirely without mortar dates back to the 11th century, yet its true purpose remains hotly debated. Was it a royal palace, a thriving trade metropolis, or a spiritual epicenter? The answer, like the staggered stonework itself, is layered with meaning. At its heart looms the Great Enclosure, a towering elliptical wall nearly 30 feet high, curving gracefully for over 800 feet. Inside, a mysterious conical tower rises 30 feet in the air solid, with no rooms or staircases. Some archaeologists argue this was the king's residence, its height symbolizing authority. Others point to artifacts like Arab coins and Chinese porcelain found on-site, suggesting Zimbabwe was a nexus of the medieval gold trade connecting Africa to the Indian Ocean. But the tower's design complicates things. Its shape mirrors traditional grain silos, hinting at a role in harvest rituals or as a symbolic granary of wealth. Then there's the hill complex, perched atop a granite outcrop. Its narrow passageways and hidden chambers suggest secrecy, perhaps a sacred space for initiation rites or ancestral worship. The presence of soapstone birds, Zimbabwe's national emblem today, fuels theories of a spiritual hub where rulers communed with divine messengers. Colonial-era archaeologists, eager to downplay African achievement, absurdly credited the ruins to Phoenicians or the biblical Queen of Sheba. Modern science demolishes these myths. The masonry's distinct patterning and the site's layout align with local Shona traditions, proving indigenous origins. The real enigma lies in the city's abrupt decline. By the 15th century, Great Zimbabwe was abandoned, possibly due to overpopulation or depleted resources. But its legacy endures. Walking among these stones, you feel the weight of a narrative deliberately obscured, a civilization erased by prejudice, now whispering its truth through silent walls. Whether palace, marketplace, or temple, Great Zimbabwe refuses to be pigeonholed. It stands as both a monument and a rebuke, proof that history's loudest voices aren't always the ones who built the tallest towers. Scattered across the windswept coast of Brittany in France, the Karnak stones form one of the most baffling megalithic sites on Earth. Over 3,000 weathered standing stones arranged in eerie, precise rows stretching nearly 4 kilometers across the landscape. Unlike the clustered circles of Stonehenge or the isolated grandeur of Easter Island's moai, Karnak's monoliths march in near-perfect alignment, like a petrified army frozen mid-march. Some tower 13 feet high while others crouch low, their uniformity defying the chaos of time. The sheer number is staggering, but the real puzzle lies in their purpose. Were they funeral monuments, celestial calculators, or something even more unexpected? One dominant theory ties them to the dead. Many of the larger stones cap burial mounds, leading archaeologists to propose they marked sacred grave sites, their rows acting as ceremonial pathways for the living to commune with ancestors. Excavations have uncovered pottery and human remains nearby, suggesting funerary rites. But why the need for thousands of markers, and why the meticulous alignment? Here's where the earthquake hypothesis comes in. Some researchers note that the stones sit atop fault lines, their placement coinciding with areas of seismic activity. Could they have functioned as primitive detectors, their vibrations warning locals of impending tremors? It's a stretch, but the idea gains traction when you consider how the stone's materials, local granite, resonate at specific frequencies, a phenomenon still studied by acoustical engineers today. Then there's the astronomy angle. Certain rows align with solstice sunrises and lunar standstills, hinting at a calendar function. In the 1970s, a team tried replicating the site's celestial alignments using primitive tools but failed to match the precision. The builder's knowledge, it seems, was both sophisticated and oddly specific. Local legends deepen the intrigue. Folklore speaks of a Roman legion turned to stone by the wizard Merlin, a poetic explanation, but one that ignores the site's Neolithic origins. Another tale claims the stones are pagan soldiers fleeing Christian saints, their sin fossilized in rock. The most haunting detail: no one has ever successfully replicated Karnak's scale or layout. Modern attempts to recreate even small sections reveal how grueling the labor would have been. Yet the original builders left no blueprints, no tools, not even a whisper of their methods. Walking among these rows, you're left with a sense of intentionality, that every stone, every gap was part of a message we've lost. Whether sacred cemetery, seismic alarm, or star map, Karnak's true purpose may lie in the gaps between theories, in the quiet defiance of a people who built not for us but for something, or someone, we've yet to understand. In the heart of Lebanon's Bekaa Valley, the Temple of Baalbek stands atop a foundation so massive, so inexplicably engineered, that it sparks debates stretching from archaeology to the edges of mythology. The Romans built their grand temple complex here, dedicating it to Jupiter, Bacchus, and Venus, but it's what lies beneath their marble columns that truly baffles experts. The platform supporting these ruins, known as the Trilithon, consists of 3 limestone blocks, each weighing over 800 tons. That's heavier than 3 fully loaded Boeing 747 jets. Even more astonishing, they're fitted together so tightly, not even a razor blade could slip between them. How were these megaliths moved? The Romans left no records of such feats, and modern experiments struggle to replicate the process. Using reconstructed ancient cranes, engineers found lifting even half that weight would require near impossible coordination. Some theorists point to the platform's even larger stones, like the 900-ton stone of the pregnant woman, lying unused in a nearby quarry. If moved, it would be the heaviest single stone block ever handled by humans without modern machinery. So who could have built this? Roman technology doesn't fully explain it, leading to wilder speculations. Local legends speak of a race of giants, the Nephilim, tasked with constructing Baalbek before the Great Flood. Others suggest lost pre-Roman civilizations possessed advanced levitation or sound wave techniques now forgotten. Then there's the astronomical angle. The platform's alignment with solstices suggests a sacred purpose predating the Romans. Phoenician texts mention Baalbek as a pilgrimage site dedicated to the sun god Baal, hinting at layers of spiritual significance. Mainstream archaeologists propose the Romans simply repurposed an older, grander foundation, perhaps built by the Phoenicians or even the mysterious Sea Peoples. But the absence of tool marks or quarrying evidence on the megaliths leaves gaps in the story. Walking among these stones, you're struck by their silent defiance. They don't just challenge our understanding of ancient engineering, they force us to reconsider the timeline of human achievement. Were they meant to awe worshippers, showcase power, or anchor some long-lost ritual? The Temple of Baalbek refuses to yield its secrets, standing as both a monument and a riddle, a reminder that some stones weigh heavier in questions than they do in tons. Tucked away in Rajasthan's arid landscape, the crumbling walls of Bangar Fort whisper a tale that blurs history and horror. By daylight, it's an architectural marvel, ornate palaces, temples with intricate carvings, and a bustling marketplace frozen in time. But as shadows lengthen, locals insist the fort awakens with something unnatural. Officially dubbed India's most haunted site by the Archaeological Survey of India, Bangar's eerie reputation stems from a chilling legend. The story goes that a 17th-century tantric priest, smitten with the kingdom's princess, cursed the land after she rejected his advances, his dying words that no roof in Bangar would ever rise higher than his own dwelling, and anyone who stayed past dark would perish. Today, signs at the fort's entrance warn visitors to leave before sunset, a rare government-acknowledged superstition. But peel back the folklore, and the fort's abandonment has more mundane roots. Historical records point to a brutal Mughal invasion in 1783, which left Bangar's defenses shattered and its population fleeing. The curse myth likely sprouted later, woven from the ruins' eerie atmosphere and the human tendency to fill historical gaps with supernatural drama. Yet even skeptics can't ignore the architectural anomalies. The priest's supposed dwelling, a small, isolated structure, indeed stands taller than any other surviving roof, despite no clear strategic or residential purpose. Was this deliberate or a coincidence magnified by legend? The fort's layout also defies convention. Temples dedicated to Hindu deities sit unusually close to royal quarters, while the main palace lacks traditional defensive features, as if the builders never anticipated an attack. Modern explorations reveal stranger details. Infrared scans show temperature drops in specific corridors, and visitors report hearing disembodied music, a possible acoustic trick of the fort's wind tunnels. Then there's the haunted stepwell. Locals claim its waters pull people inward, though historians note its steep, slippery steps make accidental falls tragically plausible. Whether curse or coincidence, Bangar's true power lies in its ability to straddle worlds, a place where history's harsh realities and humanity's love for the unexplained collide. Walking its sun-baked courtyards, you're left to wonder, is the fear woven into these stones by ghosts or by us? In Homestead, Florida, a sprawling complex of coral stone structures stands as a monument to one man's obsession, and perhaps to secrets we still don't understand. Edward Leedskalnin, a 5-foot-tall, 100-pound Latvian immigrant, single-handedly built what's now known as the Coral Castle between 1923 and 1951, carving and moving over 1,100 tons of oolitic limestone with no witnesses and no explanation. The feat seems impossible. How did one frail man, working alone under cover of darkness, quarry, shape, and position massive stone blocks, some weighing up to 30 tons without machinery or helpers? The answer, depending on who you ask, involves either back-breaking ingenuity or something far stranger. Leedskalnin claimed to have rediscovered the methods used by the ancient Egyptians to build the pyramids, though he never elaborated. Witnesses reported seeing him work at night, humming softly as he maneuvered stones with what appeared to be minimal effort. When pressed, he'd only say he understood the laws of weight and leverage. Yet the physics defy conventional wisdom. The castle's centerpiece, a 9-ton revolving gate, was so perfectly balanced that a child could push it open until it seized up in 1986, requiring a team of engineers with modern tools to repair. Even more baffling is the telescope-like structure aligned with the North Star and the Feast of Love table, a heart-shaped slab supposedly intended for the woman who jilted him, sparking his lifelong project. This is where the theories diverge. Skeptics argue Leedskalnin used simple tools, pulleys, chains, and tripods hidden from view to preserve his mystique. But others point to anomalies. A neighbor once claimed to see coral blocks floating through the air like hydrogen balloons, fueling speculation about anti-gravity or magnetic levitation. Leedskalnin's own writings, filled with cryptic references to perpetual motion holders and cosmic energy, suggest he believed in unseen forces mainstream science dismisses. Modern researchers have tried replicating his work using his alleged tools, only to conclude the math doesn't add up. The angles and weights required would have demanded superhuman precision. Then there's the missing time. Leedskalnin abruptly relocated his entire project 10 miles overnight in 1936, again without witnesses. How the man left no blueprints, just a trail of riddles. Was he a misunderstood genius, a hoaxer, or someone who tapped into forgotten knowledge? Walking through Coral Castle today, you're struck by the eerie precision. The way stones fit so tightly they resist even a credit card's edge. It's a place where the line between determination and magic blurs, leaving us to wonder if some secrets aren't meant to be solved, just witnessed. Beneath the quiet streets of Paola, Malta, lies a labyrinth that hums with mystery, the hypogeum of Hal Saflieni. This three-level subterranean complex, carved from solid limestone over 5,000 years ago, isn't just a burial site. It's an acoustic marvel that seems to defy the laws of physics. Descending into its shadowy chambers feels like stepping into another world, one where sound doesn't behave as it should. Certain niches amplify whispers into resonant echoes, while others distort voices into eerie, otherworldly vibrations. Archaeologists have uncovered the remains of over 7,000 individuals here, but it's the elongated skulls found among the bones that ignite the wildest theories. Were these the remains of an elite priestly class or evidence of something more extraordinary? The hypogeum's design suggests a purpose far beyond mere interment. Its chambers mirror the above-ground temples of Malta, complete with carved false doorways and spiral motifs, symbols often linked to rebirth and the afterlife. But the real enigma lies in the so-called oracle chamber. Speak into this small, domed room, and your voice reverberates at a frequency that seems to vibrate through your bones. Experiments have shown that sounds made here resonate at exactly 110 Hz, a frequency known to alter brain activity, inducing trance-like states in listeners. This isn't coincidence. Ancient cultures from Peru to Tibet used specific frequencies in rituals to shift consciousness. Could the hypogeum have been a prehistoric sound temple where priests or shamans used acoustics to commune with the divine? Then there are the skulls. Unlike typical human remains, these are dramatically elongated, some nearly twice the length of an average skull. Mainstream anthropology attributes this to deliberate cranial binding, a practice seen in other ancient cultures. But the lack of binding tools found on-site and the skull's unusual volume larger than what binding alone could achieve fuel alternative theories. Some researchers point to genetic anomalies or even the controversial star-child skull hypothesis, suggesting hybrid lineages. Others connect them to Mediterranean legends of the serpent priests, a cult said to possess esoteric knowledge of sound and vibration. The hypogeum's builders left no written records, but the walls speak in their own way. Red ochre paintings of spirals and honeycomb patterns adorn certain chambers, motifs often associated with sound waves and sacred geometry. Modern acousticians have mapped the site's resonance, revealing how precisely the tunnel's funnels sound, almost as if the entire structure were a giant instrument. One haunting detail: the lowest chambers flood periodically, creating a natural water feature that would have amplified certain frequencies further, turning the hypogeum into a subterranean sound bath. Whether tomb, temple, or something in between, this underground enigma challenges our assumptions about Neolithic technology and spirituality. Standing in the oracle chamber, your voice swirling around you, it's hard not to wonder, were the ancients engineering not just stone but the very fabric of human perception? The hypogeum doesn't just bury its dead, it echoes with questions reverberating across millennia, waiting for someone to listen. The Tower of Babel looms large in our collective imagination, a biblical tale of human ambition punished by divine intervention, where a united humanity's attempt to build a tower with its top in the heavens led to the fragmentation of languages. But beneath this myth lies a tantalizing question. Was it pure allegory, or did it echo a real, towering structure lost to history? To unravel this, we turn to Mesopotamia, where the ruins of Etemenanke, the house of the foundation of heaven and earth, rise from the dust. This massive ziggurat in Babylon, dedicated to the god Marduk, matches the biblical description with uncanny precision. 7 tiers high, coated in glazed blue bricks, it was a staircase between earth and sky, a physical manifestation of humanity's reach toward the divine. The parallels between myth and reality are striking. Ancient texts describe Etemenanke's construction as a communal effort, much like the Babel stories, whole worlds speaking one language. Even its fate mirrors the biblical account. The ziggurat was repeatedly destroyed and rebuilt, as if caught in a cycle of hubris and ruin. But where the Bible frames the tower as a symbol of arrogance, Mesopotamians saw it as sacred, a bridge for gods to descend and bless their city. This duality forces us to reconsider the myth's purpose. Was it a cautionary tale invented to critique Babylon's grandeur, or a distorted memory of a real project so ambitious it seemed to challenge the heavens? Archaeology adds another layer. Excavations reveal Etemenanke's base spanned nearly 300 feet square, with stairways wide enough for processions. Cuneiform tablets detail the labor foreign workers toiling under Babylonian rule, their diverse tongues a literal backdrop to the tower's rise. Could this multicultural effort have inspired the confusion of languages motif? The irony is profound. A monument meant to unite heaven and earth became, in the biblical retelling, a symbol of division. Yet the most haunting clue lies in the tower's absence. By the time Hebrew scribes penned the Babel story, Etemenanke lay in ruins, its bricks scavenged for lesser buildings. The myth, then, might be less about condemning ambition than mourning loss, a whispers from a time when humans dared to build the impossible, only to watch it crumble. Whether parable or distorted history, the Tower of Babel endures not just as a warning, but as a testament to the audacity that still drives us to reach beyond our grasp. Scattered across the rolling hills and dense jungles of Laos Xingquang Plateau, the Plain of Jars presents one of Southeast Asia's most haunting archaeological puzzles. Thousands of massive stone vessels, some as tall as 10 feet and weighing several tons, dot the landscape in clusters, their hollow interiors gaping like silent mouths. Carved from sandstone and granite between 500 BCE and 500 CE, these jars vary from simple cylindrical forms to ornately decorated specimens with carved human figures. But their true purpose remains shrouded in mystery, tangled in local legend and the shadows of modern conflict. One prevailing theory suggests they served as burial urns. Excavations have uncovered human remains, pottery shards, and iron tools near some jars, hinting at funerary practices where bones were stored or exposed to the elements. The site's proximity to ancient trade routes adds another layer. Were these vessels part of a widespread death ritual connecting distant cultures? Yet not all jars contain remains, leading some researchers to propose alternative uses. Local oral traditions describe giants who once ruled the land, using the jars to brew rice wine for victory celebrations, a tantalizing idea, given Southeast Asia's long-standing fermentation traditions. Could the jars have held communal offerings or stored rain during droughts? The answers are buried beneath more than just time. During the Vietnam War, the US military dropped over 270 million cluster bombs on Laos, leaving the Plain of Jars one of the most heavily contaminated places on Earth. Unexploded ordnance still lurks in the soil, making large-scale excavation perilous. Archaeologists must tread carefully, both physically and culturally, as disturbing the jars risks awakening local spirits believed to guard them. This deadly obstacle has stalled research for decades, leaving many jars unexamined and their secrets intact. new technologies offer glimmers of hope. Ground-penetrating radar has revealed hidden burial pits and underground chambers, suggesting the jars were just one piece of a larger ceremonial complex. Some vessels are aligned with celestial events, like the rising of certain stars during harvest seasons, hinting at an astrological connection. Others bear strange, tool-shaped carvings, possibly symbols of a forgotten craft or trade network. Standing among these ancient vessels, you're struck by their quiet defiance. They've survived bombs, monsoons, and centuries of speculation, yet their stories remain locked in stone. Whether tombs, breweries, or markers of sacred land, the Plain of Jars refuses to fit neatly into any single narrative. Perhaps that's the point. Some mysteries aren't meant to be solved, only pondered under the watchful gaze of giants long turned to legend. Beneath the Temple of Seti I in Abydos lies a structure so enigmatic, it seems to defy both time and logic. The Osirian, often called Egypt's submerged tomb, this underground chamber isn't just another relic of the pharaohs. Its massive granite pillars stand in a rectangular pool of water, its architecture so starkly different from Seti's ornate temple above that many researchers argue it predates the New Kingdom entirely. Some even whisper it's a remnant of a civilization lost to the sands long before the dynasties began. The Osirian's design is its first clue. Unlike the colorful hieroglyph-covered walls of Seti's temple, its bare stone blocks are megalithic, similar to those in the Valley Temple of Giza, a hallmark of far older construction. The central island, surrounded by a moat like channel, mirrors descriptions of the mythical island of creation, where Osiris, god of the afterlife, was said to have risen from the waters. This connection isn't accidental. Texts from the New Kingdom describe Abydos as the burial place of Osiris, and the Osirians' waterlogged chambers seem to embody the god's link to rebirth and the Nile's annual floods. But why would a structure honoring Osiris lie beneath Seti's temple, and why does its style clash so dramatically with the era's known architecture? One theory suggests the Osirian was deliberately built to mimic an ancient, sacred site, possibly one destroyed or buried by time. Geological studies reveal the chamber's floor lies below the local water table, meaning it was designed to flood. This wasn't an engineering flaw, the water was the point. Ancient Egyptian creation myths describe the universe emerging from primordial waters, and the Osirian's ever-present liquid mirrors this belief. Some researchers go further, proposing the structure commemorates an actual prehistoric deluge. Sediment layers in the region show evidence of catastrophic flooding around 5000 BCE, an event that could have inspired the Osiris legends. Could the Osirian be a physical memory of that disaster? A place where priests reenacted the god's resurrection amid the waters that once reshaped the land. Then there's the mystery of its construction. The Osirian stonework lacks the precise craftsmanship of later dynasties, instead resembling the cyclopean masonry of mysterious pre-pharaonic cultures. This has led to speculation that Seti's builders stumbled upon an older ruin and incorporated it into their temple complex, repurposing it as a symbolic tomb for Osiris. Intriguingly, early 20th century excavators found graffiti inside attributing the site to Seti's son, Ramesses the Great, yet nothing about its style matches Ramesses' known works. Perhaps the most haunting question isn't who built it, but why it was forgotten. Unlike other Egyptian monuments, the Osirian shows no signs of later use or restoration. Sand and silt filled its chambers long before modern archaeologists uncovered them, as if the ancients themselves sealed it away. Walking through its flooded halls today, you're left with an eerie sense of intentional silence, as though the answers lie not in the stones, but in the dark water pooling at your feet, hiding secrets as old as the Nile itself. Whether sacred theater, ancient memorial, or something far stranger, the Osirian remains a riddle wrapped in river and myth, daring us to question how deep Egypt's history truly runs. Rising from the rock of Maharashtra's Charanandri Hills, The Kailasa temple isn't just carved into the mountain, it's excavated from it. A staggering feat of reverse engineering where artisans didn't build upward but chiseled downward, freeing an entire monolithic complex from a single basalt cliff. Imagine the audacity of this vision, 7th century craftsmen standing before a solid rock face, planning not just to carve a temple, but to reveal one as if it had always been there, waiting beneath the surface. The scale is incomprehensible. Over 200,000 tons of stone were painstakingly removed, enough to fill 5 Olympic-sized swimming pools, leaving behind a structure twice the area of the Parthenon, its towers soaring 90 feet into the sky. This wasn't construction, it was a form of architectural archaeology, uncovering divinity hidden in stone. The precision defies explanation. Every pillar, every statue of Shiva and Parvati, every intricate relief depicting scenes from the Mahabharata, all were shaped with near-flawless symmetry, despite the limitations of iron chisels and handheld hammers. How did artisans achieve such exacting detail without modern measurement tools? One theory points to the temple's possible use of Stampa techniques, where master builders employed shadow casting rods to calculate angles and depths based on the sun's position. Others suggest a grid system etched into the rock before carving began, a 3-dimensional blueprint guiding each strike. Yet even these explanations falter when confronted with the temple's most bewildering feature, its sheer verticality. The courtyard walls drop straight down 90 feet, their surfaces smooth as glass, with no visible seams or staircases for workers to descend. Legends say it took just 18 years to complete, a timeline so implausible that folklore credits divine intervention or lost technology. But perhaps the real mystery isn't how Kailasa was built, but why in this radical top-down fashion. Most temples grow stone by stone, a testament to human effort. Kailasa, by contrast, feels like an act of revelation, as if its creators sought to mirror the Hindu belief that the universe emerges from the unmanifest. The temple's namesake, Mount Kailash, is considered the cosmic axis in Shaivism, the home of Shiva himself. By freeing the temple from the earth rather than assembling it, the Rashtrakuta dynasty may have been making a theological statement. Divinity isn't constructed, it's uncovered. Even the scars left by later Mughal invaders who attempted to demolish the temple but abandoned the effort after barely scratching its surface add to its mythos. The rock refused to yield, as if the mountain itself protected what it had birthed. Walking through Kailasa's courtyards today, you're struck by the paradox of it all. This isn't a ruin, it's a negative space, a monument defined by what was taken away. The air hums with the absence of all that stone, a silence that somehow echoes louder than any artifact. Whether marvel of engineering, spiritual allegory, or both, the temple challenges us to rethink not just ancient capability, but the very nature of creation. To carve a temple from a mountain isn't just to build, it's to converse with the earth, demanding answers from the stone itself. In the quiet farmland of Elbert County, Georgia, a set of granite monoliths once stood like a cryptic message from the future, the Georgia Guidestones. Erected in 1980 under bizarre circumstances, these 20-foot-tall slabs bore instructions for rebuilding civilization in 10 languages, from English to Swahili, as if preparing for a global cataclysm. The stone's patron, a man using the pseudonym R.C. Christian, who paid for the project in cash and vanished without a trace, his only demand that the guidestones withstand the test of time, guiding survivors through an unspecified calamity. The messages themselves read like a manifesto for a new age. Carved into the stone were 10 principles urging population control, environmental balance, and international unity. Some saw them as enlightened ideals, others as ominous prophecies. The first guideline, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature, sparked particular unease. At current global population levels, that would imply a staggering reduction, fueling theories about elite-driven depopulation agendas. the stone's alignment with celestial events deepened the intrigue. Their central pillar featured a slot framing the sun at solstices and equinoxes, while a small hole drilled through the granite pointed to Polaris, the North Star, as if anchoring the structure to the cosmos. Then came the explosion. In July 2022, a bomb partially destroyed the guidestones. Authorities demolished the rest hours later, citing safety concerns. The act only amplified the mystery. Was this vandalism or a deliberate silencing? Conspiracy theorists pointed to the timing. The stones were toppled just as debates about global crises reached fever pitch. Some linked the destruction to shadowy groups seeking to erase warnings about impending collapse. Others argued the stones had become a magnet for extremists, their ambiguous messages twisted to fit divisive narratives. Behind the intrigue lies a deeper question. What was R.C. Christian's true purpose? Was he a visionary architect, a doomsday cultist, or a rich eccentric playing an elaborate prank? The Guidestone's legacy now exists in fragments, both literal and ideological. Their absence feels like a metaphor, a puzzle dismantled before we could decode it, leaving us to wonder if their real message wasn't carved in stone at all, but in the way they compelled us to confront our deepest fears about the future. Whether blueprint or warning, the Guidestones challenged us to look beyond the horizon, not at the end of days, but at the choices that might lead us there. Perched on Malta's rugged southern cliffs, the Haga Kim temples rise from the limestone like the weathered bones of some ancient beast. Dating back to 3600 BCE, these megalithic structures predate Stonehenge by 1,000 years and the pyramids of Giza by 600, yet their purpose remains as elusive as the people who built them. What sets Haga Kim apart isn't just its age, but the uncanny precision of its design. Massive stone slabs, some weighing over 20 tons, form a complex of chambers and altars adorned with spiral carvings and voluptuous figurines. The most famous of these, the Venus of Malta, with her exaggerated hips and thighs, hints at a culture obsessed with fertility and rebirth. But was this a place of worship, a prehistoric hospital, or something far stranger? Step inside the temple's main doorway, and you're immediately struck by its alignment with the summer solstice sunrise. At dawn on the longest day of the year, sunlight pierces through an elliptical hole known as the oracle aperture, casting a beam that creeps along the temple floor to illuminate a specific stone slab at the rear. This isn't random. The builders engineered this celestial spectacle with a sophistication that rivals modern observatories. Some researchers argue the alignment served as an agricultural calendar, marking the optimal time for planting or harvest. But others point to the temple's acoustics, the way certain chambers amplify whispers into eerie echoes, suggesting rituals where sound and light combine to alter consciousness. Could Haga Kim have been a portal for communing with ancestors or deities, where the solstice light wasn't just a marker but a doorway? Then there's the healing theory. Excavations uncovered hundreds of animal bones and clay figurines, many depicting swollen limbs or distorted bodies. Archaeologist Marija Gimbutas proposed the site was a sanctuary for the sick, where priestesses performed rituals to invoke the goddess's healing power. The presence of spherical stones perfectly carved to fit human hands fuels speculation about ancient massage or pressure point therapies. Even the temple's name, Haga Kim, translates to standing stones of worship, but local folklore whispers another meaning, stones that speak. Visitors often report a tingling sensation when touching certain megaliths, leading some to speculate about subterranean water channels or residual energy from millennia of ceremonies. But the most tantalizing clues lie in the shadows. The temple's rear chambers, accessible only through narrow oracle holes, are too small for humans to enter. Were these spirit portals where priests received visions, or storage for sacred objects meant to be seen but not touched? The absence of written records leaves us with only the stones themselves, their surfaces pitted by time but still humming with intention. Walking through Haga Kim at solstice dawn, watching sunlight carve a path through the darkness, you can't help but feel the weight of unanswered questions. Were these temples designed to heal bodies, summon gods, or bridge worlds? Perhaps the truth isn't in the answers we seek, but in the awe that lingers when standing before a mystery older than history itself. Beneath the turquoise waves of the Arabian Sea, off the coast of modern-day Gujarat, lies a discovery that blurs the line between myth and history: the sunken ruins of Dwarka. According to ancient Hindu texts like the Mahabharata and Puranas, Dwarka was the glittering kingdom of Lord Krishna, a city of gold and marble so magnificent it was said to have been swallowed by the sea upon his death. For centuries, scholars dismissed this as poetic allegory until marine archaeologists began uncovering stone walls, pottery shards, and the remnants of a sprawling harbor system submerged nearly 100 feet underwater. These aren't just random fragments, they're the bones of a lost civilization, carbon dated to between 3,200 and 1,900 years old, a timeline that eerily aligns with Krishna's supposed reign. The most compelling evidence comes from the site's layout. Sonar imaging reveals a grid-like street plan, with massive stone blocks forming what appear to be jetty walls and flood barriers, suggesting a city designed to withstand tides and storms. Artifacts pulled from the seabed include anchors with 3 holes, a design consistent with ancient maritime technology, and pottery etched with symbols resembling Harappan script. But here's where the controversy ignites. While mainstream archaeologists argue these ruins belong to a prosperous port from the Indus Valley civilization's later phases, Hindu scholars point to carbon dating discrepancies. Some samples date older than expected, fueling claims that this could indeed be Krishna's Dwarka, a city traditionally believed to have existed over 5,000 years ago. Then there's the geological puzzle. Core samples from the seabed show evidence of sudden subsidence, a dramatic sinking event around 1500 BCE. This matches regional legends of the sea, reclaiming Dwarka after Krishna's departure. But skeptics counter that coastal erosion and tectonic shifts could explain the submersion without invoking myth. The debate intensifies when you consider the underwater gate discovered near the main ruins, a rectangular structure some claim is the entrance to Krishna's palace, while others argue it's a collapsed fortification wall. What's undeniable is the site's cultural resonance. For devotees, Dwarka's rediscovery validates faith, a tangible link to a sacred past. For scientists, it's a window into India's maritime history, revealing trade networks that may have stretched to Mesopotamia and beyond. Yet the ruins guard their secrets fiercely. Why were no human remains found? How did the city's advanced drainage systems, hinted at by channels in the ruins, compare to other ancient water management feats? Diving into Dwarka's depths, you're left with a haunting thought. Sometimes the most powerful myths aren't pure fiction, but distorted reflections of real places, waiting for the tides of time to reveal them. Whether Krishna's capital or a forgotten trading hub, these sunken stones whisper of a past where legend and reality may have once been the same. Herodotus once wrote of a structure so vast, so bewildering, that even the pyramids paled in comparison, the legendary labyrinth of Hawara. Located near the Fayum oasis in Egypt, this colossal complex was said to contain 3,000 rooms, half of them underground, connected by winding passages so intricate that no one could navigate them without a guide. The Greek historian claimed it served as both a grand administrative center and a sacred burial site for crocodile gods and ancient kings. But for centuries, the labyrinth existed only in whispers until modern archaeologists began peeling back the sands to uncover its secrets. What they found was both thrilling and frustrating. The site, near Amenemhat III's pyramid, is a puzzle of scattered foundations and waterlogged ruins. Early 20th century excavations revealed a vast courtyard lined with pillared halls, but the labyrinth's true scale remains elusive, the challenge. Much of it lies beneath the water table, submerged in a network of underground channels that have flooded over millennia. Modern teams using ground-penetrating radar have mapped what appear to be grid-like corridors, matching Herodotus's description, but digging deeper risks destabilizing the entire site. The Earth here is a fragile archive, its pages dissolved by water and time. Then there's the question of purpose. Was this labyrinth really a bureaucratic hub, as Herodotus claimed, where priests and officials managed the kingdom's grain stores and taxes? Or was it a spiritual vortex, a maze designed to disorient initiates in ritual journeys? Fragmentary inscriptions mention a temple dedicated to Sobek, the crocodile god, fueling theories that the labyrinth's twisting path symbolized the chaos of creation, with the center representing divine order. Others point to its alignment with celestial events. Certain corridors may have framed the winter solstice sunrise, turning the entire complex into a stone calendar. The most tantalizing clue emerged in 2012 when a Belgian-Egyptian team uncovered a limestone slab inscribed with a single word, Jedu, an ancient term for stability. Was this a cornerstone for the labyrinth or a clue to its symbolic meaning? The answer may lie in the water. With every excavation season, pumps work tirelessly to keep the groundwater at bay, but the labyrinth refuses to surrender its secrets easily. Some archaeologists argue the flooding was intentional, that the builders wanted the lower chambers to be eternally submerged, mirroring the Nile's life-giving floods or the primordial waters of creation. Walking through Hawara today, you're struck by the duality of the place. Above ground, it's a skeleton of broken walls. Below, an invisible kingdom waiting to be rediscovered. The labyrinth's genius wasn't just in its complexity, but in its defiance. It challenges us to rethink what we know about ancient governance and spirituality, how a civilization could encode its deepest mysteries in stone, then let the earth swallow them whole. Whether archive, temple, or something in between, Hawara's labyrinth remains a riddle wrapped in water and wind, its truth as elusive as the corridors Herodotus once dared to walk. High in the Bolivian Andes, the ruins of Puma Punku don't just challenge our understanding of ancient engineering, they obliterate it. This scattered collection of precision-cut stone blocks, some weighing over 100 tons, looks less like the handiwork of primitive tools and more like the output of a modern machine shop. The granite and diorite slabs are sliced with such razor-sharp edges, such perfect 90-degree angles, that even contemporary masons struggle to explain how they were achieved without diamond-tipped tools. Tiny drill holes, uniform grooves, and interlocking channels suggest a level of technical sophistication that shouldn't exist in a site dated to around 500 CE. So who or what created Puma Punku? The mainstream explanation credits the Tiwanaku culture, a pre-Inca civilization known for their agricultural innovations and stonework. Archaeologists propose that laborers used simple tools like bronze chisels and stone hammers, combined with abrasives like quartz sand, to painstakingly shape the blocks over generations. But this theory crumbles under closer scrutiny. The andesite stone used here is a 7 on the Mohs hardness scale, just shy of diamonds. Replicating Puma Punku's precision with primitive tools would require an unimaginable amount of time and labor, yet the site shows no evidence of trial and error. Every cut is confident, every joint seamless. Even more baffling are the so-called H-blocks, stones with identical notches spaced at mathematically precise intervals, as if mass-produced from a template. How could a culture without a written language or wheel achieve such standardization? This is where alternative theories explode into the debate. Some researchers point to the block's modular design, arguing they slot together like pieces of a massive, earthquake-resistant puzzle, a technique eerily similar to modern seismic retrofitting. Others highlight the site's alleged astronomical alignments, suggesting Puma Punku was a kind of ancient observatory or energy hub. More controversial voices, like those in the ancient astronaut community, insist the stones bear marks of advanced machining, possibly from a lost civilization or even extraterrestrial visitors. They cite the infamous drill holes, which appear to spiral inward with a consistency that handheld tools couldn't replicate. Yet the most compelling mystery isn't just how Puma Punku was built, but why it lies in ruins. The site isn't merely weathered, it looks obliterated as if struck by a cataclysmic force. Massive stone blocks are strewn like toys, some flung hundreds of feet from their original positions. Local legends speak of a great noise and a sky that rained fire, fueling speculation about a catastrophic event like a plasma discharge or comet impact. Mainstream scholars attribute the destruction to gradual erosion or Spanish looting, but the violence etched into these stones tells a different story. Walking among Puma Punku's shattered remains, you're left with an unsettling thought. Perhaps this wasn't just a temple or a city, but a repository of forgotten knowledge. The stones seem to whisper of a time when humanity, or something else, mastered secrets we're still struggling to relearn. Whether ritual site, technological marvel, or the scar of an ancient disaster, Puma Punku refuses to be an artifact of the past. It's a riddle carved in stone, daring us to question not just history, but the limits of human possibility. From the celestial precision of the Great Pyramid to the submerged whispers of Japan's Yonaguni Monument, these 25 structures stand as monuments to humanity's relentless curiosity and our humbling inability to fully grasp the past. Each one defies categorization, resisting the tidy boxes of tombs, temples, or palaces. They're more than ruins, they're conversations across time, asking us to reconsider what we think we know about the civilizations that came before us. Take a moment to sit with that mystery. These builders, whether ancient astronauts, forgotten geniuses, or ordinary people with extraordinary vision, left behind puzzles that still spark debate among scholars, conspiracy theorists, and dreamers alike. The Karnak stones might be a burial ground, an earthquake detector, or a star map. The coral castle could be a testament to lost physics or one man's stubborn love. The Osirians' flooded chambers might honor a god's rebirth or memorialize a real flood that reshaped history. The beauty lies in the uncertainty. These aren't just gaps in our knowledge, they're invitations to keep searching, questioning, and marveling. And that's where you come in. Maybe one of these sites gripped you: the eerie acoustics of Malta's hypogeum, the astronomical genius of Newgrange, or the sheer audacity of Kailasa Temple, carved from the top down. Dive deeper, follow the trails of researchers challenging old narratives, or explore the local legends that give these places soul. Share your favorite enigma in the comments. Did the Georgia Guidestones unsettle or inspire you? Do you think Puma Punku's precision hints at lost technology? These discussions keep the mysteries alive, turning stones and shadows into living stories. History isn't a locked vault, it's a canvas waiting for new interpretations. So if this journey through the world's most baffling buildings left you hungry for more, hit subscribe. We've only scratched the surface of the past's greatest riddles, from vanished civilizations to artifacts that shouldn't exist. The next discovery could be the one that rewrites everything. Until then, keep looking up, down, and beyond. The past is whispering, and it's far stranger than we've been taught.